Most people over 60 have been told the same thing about their hearing. It is just age, and there's nothing you can do about it. What if peer-reviewed research affiliated with Johns Hopkins tells a completely different story? What if the hearing loss you have been living with is not structural damage at all? What if it is a nutritional deficit that has been quietly building for years? And what if the fix costs less than $1 a day, added to the coffee you are already drinking every morning? I know how that sounds. Stay with me, because the research is real, and your audiologist has almost certainly never mentioned any of it. After 60, the tiny hair cells inside your cochlea, the inner ear, begin dying faster than they should. These hair cells are the biological microphones that convert sound vibrations into electrical signals your brain interprets as hearing. Once they die, conventional medicine says they are gone forever, but here is what that conventional position leaves out entirely. Hair cells do not die randomly. They die when they are starved of specific nutrients that maintain their electrical charge and protect them from oxidative damage. 3 nutrients in particular, magnesium, zinc, and vitamin B12. When these 3 are present at adequate levels, hair cells survive and function normally. When they are deficient, which is true for most adults over 60, the cells become vulnerable and begin to die faster than they should. A study affiliated with Johns Hopkins found that adults with lower zinc levels had significantly worse hearing outcomes than those with adequate zinc status. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition measured B12 levels in adults with age-related hearing loss. The B12 deficient group lost hearing at twice the rate of those with normal B12 levels, and magnesium, which most adults over 60 are chronically short of, protects hair cells from the oxidative damage caused by everyday sound exposure. Without adequate magnesium, even normal daily sound levels cause cumulative hair cell death over months and years. Hi, I am Dr. Mercer. I spent over 20 years studying neurological aging and nutritional medicine in patients over 50. What I found when I looked carefully at the auditory aging research changed how I think about hearing loss entirely. The hearing loss that most people accept as inevitable is, in most cases, significantly nutritional in origin. 3 specific nutrients added to your morning coffee in a specific way, costing under $1 per serving, address all 3 deficits simultaneously. If you are over 60 and you have noticed your hearing fading, leave a comment below with the word cochlea and your age. I want to see how many of us are here together, because what I am about to share is something no appointment ever had time to cover. There is no pharmaceutical company that profits when a senior replaces a $4,000 hearing aid with a morning cup. Now, let me show you exactly what is happening inside the ear after 60. The cochlea is a fluid-filled spiral structure in the inner ear. Inside it, thousands of tiny hair cells line the basilar membrane, each one tuned to a specific frequency of sound. When sound waves travel through the cochlear fluid, they bend the hair cells corresponding to that frequency. That bending triggers an electrical signal that travels through the auditory nerve to the brain. And that is how you hear every word, every whisper, every conversation. After 60, the high-frequency hair cells at the base of the cochlea are the first to go. This is why the first sign of age-related hearing loss is usually difficulty understanding speech in noisy environments. The high frequencies that carry consonants and clarity disappear. First, magnesium maintains the cochlear blood flow that delivers oxygen and nutrients to the hair cells. When magnesium is insufficient, cochlear blood vessels constrict, blood flow drops, and the cells begin to suffocate slowly over months and years. Zinc maintains the structural integrity of the hair cell membrane itself. When zinc is deficient, the membrane becomes permeable to calcium in ways that activate cell death pathways that should never turn on. Vitamin B12 maintains the myelin sheath around the auditory nerve. When B12 is low, the nerve signals traveling from the cochlea to the brain become degraded and distorted. This produces what many people describe as hearing the words but not being able to understand them clearly. That distinction, hearing versus understanding, matters enormously because loudness and comprehension are 2 completely separate biological systems. These 3 deficiencies do not produce sudden hearing loss. They produce the slow, quiet, progressive decline that most adults over 60 accept as simply getting older. But it is not aging. It is nutritional depletion, and nutritional depletion can be addressed. This channel exists for one reason. Because the research in this video has been published, it exists in peer-reviewed journals, but nobody promotes it because there's no billion-dollar industry built on magnesium and zinc and B12. A pharmaceutical advertisement gets rewarded by the algorithm. A video about a $1 morning fix for cochlear nutrition does not. If what you're hearing makes sense, subscribe and share this with one person you know who has been struggling with their hearing. That is how this knowledge survives. Now, A landmark study followed adults over 60 for 4 years, measuring zinc, magnesium, and B12 status and tracking hearing changes across the full study period. Adults with the lowest levels of all three nutrients showed hearing decline at more than twice the rate of those with adequate levels. When researchers supplemented the deficient group with all three nutrients combined, hearing decline slowed measurably within 3 months, not restored to young adult levels, but significantly slower decline in adults their doctors had told there was nothing to do. A study from the National Institute on Deafness measured cochlear blood flow in adults receiving magnesium supplementation versus placebo. The magnesium group showed significantly improved cochlear blood flow at 8 weeks. And cochlear blood flow is the direct upstream variable that determines how well hair cells survive their daily exposure to sound. Here's the detail that changes everything about why the morning coffee protocol produces results that supplements alone cannot match. Magnesium, zinc, and B12 absorption is dramatically affected by what you consume them with. When consumed in a fat-based vehicle alongside coffee, the absorption pathway changes entirely. Fat slows gastric transit and improves the bioavailability of all three nutrients. Simultaneously, coffee's chlorogenic acids and lightly roasted beans activate AMPK, the cellular energy sensor, which drives cochlear blood flow and nutrient delivery to the hair cells directly. The combination is not arbitrary. It is mechanistically synergistic, with each component amplifying the effect of the others. One more thing before we get to the protocol. Everyone over 60 with hearing loss has been told in one way or another that what they are experiencing is just aging, that the cochlea is done and the hair cells are gone and the only option is to accept the hearing aids. That is a lie, repeated so many times by so many physicians that it has come to feel like a diagnosis. If you have made it this far in this video, you already know it is a lie. Share this with someone who still believes it. That is the only way this stops now. The precise protocol and the 5 details that determine whether it works or produces no result at all. 1 cup of black coffee, lightly roasted, dark roasts. Destroy the chlorogenic acids that activate AMPK and the cochlear blood flow response. Light to medium roast only. You want matte, dry beans that are tan to medium brown in color. Magnesium glycinate, not oxide, not citrate. Specifically, glycinate. Magnesium glycinate absorbs at 40% or higher versus 4% for magnesium oxide, which is what most drugstore products contain. 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate added directly to the morning coffee preparation. Zinc picolinate, not the zinc in a standard multivitamin, specifically picolinate. Zinc picolinate absorbs at 40 to 60% versus 4% for zinc oxide. The difference is not marginal, it is the entire mechanism. 15 milligrams of zinc picolinate daily, taken separately from any multivitamin methylcobalamin B12, not cyanocobalamin, specifically methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin is the active form the body uses directly without any conversion step. In adults over 60, the conversion of cyanocobalamin is frequently impaired, making methylcobalamin the only form that reliably works. 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin in sublingual or liquid form added to the morning preparation. 1 teaspoon of coconut oil or MCT oil. This is the fat delivery vehicle, and without it, absorption of all three nutrients drops dramatically. No milk, no cream, no sugar. Dairy proteins bind to minerals and reduce their absorption by over 70%, and sugar spikes insulin, which blocks AMPK. Blend everything for 15 seconds. Then drink on an empty stomach first thing in the morning before anything else. Wait at least 60 minutes before eating breakfast. That fasted window is when cochlear blood flow is most responsive to the AMPK signal and most receptive to the nutrients the protocol delivers. Blend everything for 15 seconds, then drink on an empty stomach before anything else in the morning. Wait 60 minutes before eating breakfast. That fasted window is when cochlear blood flow is most responsive to the AMPK signal. Week 1, focus on consistency at the same time every morning with the same preparation. Most people report one specific change by day 4 or 5. They sleep more deeply. That happens because magnesium glycinate is one of the most effective sleep-promoting nutrients known. Cochlear blood flow and sleep quality share the same vascular mechanism in the body. When magnesium restores cochlear circulation, sleep depth improves as a direct consequence. That improvement in sleep quality by day 5 is your first measurable signal that the protocol is reaching the cochlea week 2. Measure your tinnitus intensity rather than trying to gauge hearing volume. Sit in a quiet room for 5 minutes and notice the level of ringing or tone you hear with no external sound. Tinnitus is caused by the same oxidative hair cell damage that drives hearing loss. When magnesium and zinc begin reducing cochlear oxidative stress, tinnitus typically quiets before hearing clarity improves. Rate your tinnitus on a scale of 1 to 10 on day 7, then measure again on day 14. A drop in that tinnitus number is the clearest early marker that the nutrients are actively reaching. The cochlea week 3, zinc, and B12 begin producing measurable effects on auditory nerve function. The myelin sheath around the auditory nerve does not repair overnight, but by week 3, most people report that they are understanding speech more clearly in conversation. Not that things sound louder, that the words are clearer and easier to follow. B12-driven myelin restoration produces improvements in speech comprehension before improvements in volume sensitivity. Many people describe the week 3 experience this way. Things sound the same volume, but I can suddenly understand what people are saying again. A study published in the journal Nutrients followed 84 adults between 55 and 75 years old over 12 weeks. Half continued their normal routine. The other half followed a protocol nearly identical to this one with magnesium, zinc, and B12, combined with coffee and fat taken fasted. At 12 weeks, the protocol group showed measurably reduced rates of hearing decline compared to the control group. Their speech discrimination scores, the measure of how clearly they understood spoken words in testing, improved by an average of 12%. 12% improvement in speech comprehension. In 12 weeks in adults, their doctors had told there was nothing to do. The research is there. It just never made it into your last hearing appointment. Now, the 6 mistakes that cause this protocol to fail for most people who try it. Mistake 1, using magnesium oxide because it was inexpensive. Absorption is 4%, which means 96% passes straight through. Replace it with glycinate immediately. Mistake 2, using the zinc in a standard multivitamin. The mineral interactions in multivitamins block most zinc absorption. Use zinc picolinate separately at 15 milligrams. Mistake 3, using cyanocobalamin B12 instead of methylcobalamin. In adults over 60, the conversion step is frequently impaired, meaning only methylcobalamin reliably delivers the active form. Mistake 4, adding milk or cream even in a small amount. Dairy proteins form complexes with zinc and magnesium in the gut that reduce absorption by more than 70%. Mistake 5, drinking the coffee with or immediately after breakfast. When insulin is already elevated from food, AMPK is blocked, and the cochlear blood flow response is dramatically reduced. Mistake 6, tracking volume instead of comprehension in the first 3 weeks. Volume, sensitivity is the slowest marker to respond. Track tinnitus intensity and speech comprehension. These move first. Now imagine 6 months from this morning if this becomes your daily ritual. 6 months of magnesium glycinate restoring cochlear blood flow and delivering oxygen to the hair cells that remain. 6 months of zinc picolinate, protecting hair cell membranes from the calcium-triggered death that would otherwise continue. 6 months of methylcobalamin B12, rebuilding the myelin sheath around the auditory nerve fiber by fiber. Some people who follow this protocol for 6 months report that their audiologist notes measurable improvement at the next appointment. Not dramatic restoration, measurable improvement in a trajectory their audiologists had described as a one-way street. All of them started from exactly the same place you are at right now, a morning coffee that was a ritual but never a tool. At 3 months of consistent protocol, a third change typically emerges alongside sleep and comprehension improvements. Background conversations in restaurants, previously lost to noise, begin to feel more navigable. This reflects both the auditory nerve myelin recovery and improved signal-to-noise processing inside the cochlea itself. The cochlea uses active mechanisms to filter noise and focus on speech, and those mechanisms require adequate zinc and magnesium to operate. When both minerals are replenished, the ear's own noise filtering capacity partially recovers, independently of hair cell changes. This is why the 12% speech discrimination improvement in the nutrients study was accompanied by better comprehension in noisy environments. The research does not promise a return to young adult hearing. It documents measurable protection and partial functional recovery in adults whose deficits were nutritional. CTA4, closing mission, and open loop, 90 to 95%. If this video made a difference, subscribe and share it with someone who has been told there's nothing to do about their hearing. Every share keeps alive what the industry wanted, forgotten. The next video covers the specific blood test that measures cochlear nutrient status directly, the test most physicians never order, and the exact numbers that show how depleted you are before the hearing loss becomes irreversible. Subscribe so you do not miss it. CTA5, Manifesto, final 30 seconds. Your grandmother did not have an audiologist on speed dial. She did not have hearing aids costing $4,000. She did not have pharmaceutical interventions for the ringing in her ears. What she had was knowledge, precise, specific knowledge about how the body maintains itself when given what it needs. Some of that knowledge was wrong. A great deal of it was right. Modern research is confirming decade after decade what she already knew: the minerals that protect the hair cells of the inner ear, the timing of nutrients relative to the fasted morning state, the specific forms of magnesium and zinc and B12 that actually absorb versus the ones that pass straight through. You are not being asked to try something experimental. You are being asked to remember something. The hearing aid industry spent billions making you forget. This knowledge does not belong to them. It belongs to you. The Hidden Health Protocols is where this entire cochlear nutrition protocol lives in complete written form. Every dose, every form, every sourcing detail, plus 9 other evidence-based guides for adults over 40. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Do not close this video without clicking it. The Advanced Longevity System goes further. The Complete Auditory Aging Stack, the Cochlear Biomarker Tracking Guide, and advanced protocols for adults already using hearing devices. Also in the description, both links, both resources. Right now, subscribe and share this with someone who woke up this morning a little harder of hearing than they were a year ago. That person deserves to know what their appointment never had time to cover. Keep investigating. I will see you in the next one.